This segment is sponsored by the American Heart Association.
Well, the Heart Walk is the American Heart Association's premier fundraising event, which funds cardiovascular research and educational programs right here in Central Virginia. Our next guest completed his first Heart Walk last year, just months after suffering a heart attack. Kyle Schwant joins us to share his journey along the way to recovery with Dr. Antonio Abate, who's the James C. Roberts Esquire Professor of Cardiology at the VCU Pauley Heart Center. Gentlemen, it's nice to have both of you here.
Thank you.
Good morning.
We've just met, but we have a great opportunity here to talk about awareness and education, and that's what the American Heart Association is dedicated to across the country, across the world, but specifically here in Central Virginia. Kyle, the notes that I have, you suffered a heart attack in your early 40s, which I guess is not typical necessarily. How has that journey progressed?
It's been quite an amazing journey, actually. It was quite a shock for it to happen, but I've learned so much it's been over a year now since my heart attack, but I've learned so much about the American Heart Association and heart health since then. But with the help of VCU, amazing Dr. Abate, a great rehab group at VCU, I've been doing very, very well.
I'm sure people talk to you aplenty now about, well, you're so young, how does this happen? And what have you learned from this?
Well, I've learned that it can happen at any age. I was active, I ate well, so have some history in my family, which I think probably played a big part in why it happened, but that it can happen to anyone, and to be prepared and to really know the signs so that you're prepared.
And that's what you need to be aware of.
And act quickly when you feel like something's happening, to act quickly.
Don't brush those symptoms and
Exactly.
those things aside. Doctor, while it's very surprising to Kyle and probably very surprising to a lot of people watching today, you know, he's young, he's healthy, he was eating well, as he said, exercising. You see this probably more often than we realize.
It definitely. I can remember when I met Kyle in the emergency room. I could see the surprise in his face and the disbelief that we were telling him that he was having a heart attack. And unfortunately, we know the risk factors for heart attack, and we know that those who have many risk factors are at high risk, but even those who have few risk factors are still at risk. So you need to know whatever your risks are, and you need to know that any risk is still a risk, and you need to act on it, and talk with your physicians what you can do and be aware of it. And I thank Kyle for being here so we can talk about it more and have people be aware of this.
We have about 2 minutes left, and as much as we know about heart disease and recognizing signs and the things that we do know today, we're still learning. The medical community and just the general, all of us are still learning a lot about this. You guys are working together on something, aren't you?
We definitely are.
Yes.
and it's so great to see him doing so well now. I mean, when we met, you weren't doing so well. And,
No.
And we, while we were giving him the usual treatment for the heart attack, I offered him to be part of a research study at VCU, and this was built on research that was sponsored initially by the American Heart Association for a novel treatment to improve healing after heart attack. And Kyle volunteered to be one of the research participants, and a year later he's doing great. He's running, and we are so excited to do it so great. So we are expanding our ways to diagnose and treat heart disease, and I think we need as much support possible from the American Heart Association, from the volunteers, from the community as a whole.
And I mentioned we are learning. I was out last year at the Heart Walk, and the community of support and education that's there, it's amazing. So you definitely want to come out and take advantage of that. My dad suffered from a heart attack and it was one to learn from, thankfully. But we all are learning as we go. And he sat home all weekend thinking it was indigestion. And so you have to respect those signs.
Exactly. The same thing happened to me. It took me a couple of days to realize what was really happening.
Mm-hmm.
I ignored those signs. I thought, I'm too young. This couldn't be happening to me. And I think it's important people to know to to react quickly in those
Absolutely.
situations.
Thanks for sharing your story, and Doctor, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. You guys can see them at the 2016 Richmond Heart Walk. It's coming up Saturday, October 8th at West Creek Parkway. Festivities start at 8 a.m. And this year, our very own CBS 6 traffic reporter Kristen Lewis will serve as MC. I know she's looking forward to that. The event is free. It's open to everyone. Donations are encouraged. They make a big difference, and they're greatly appreciated. To donate or to register, you can visit richmondvaheartwalk.org. And we didn't talk about this, but I want to let you know the hands-only CPR mobile tour presented by the American Heart Association is making 2 stops in Richmond this Saturday the 24th and on Monday the 26th. There's a new twist. You're going to learn CPR to the beat of a very familiar favorite song. I think you get to pick one of your favorites. That way you'll remember. For all the information, you can visit Facebook, AHA CPR.